Sometimes a thought pops into Trump's head and he just has to scream about it. And that's why not long ago, he tweeted, "Schools must open in the fall." And I don't have sources in the White House, but I have a feeling that no one around him was expecting that would suddenly become a focus of Trump. Schools must open in the fall. And so they took a day to sort of workshop it a bit, and they came up with a slightly better version of the argument, with Trump tweeting this morning, "In Germany, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and many other countries, schools are open with no problems. The Dems think it would be bad for them politically if U.S. schools open before the November election, but it is important for the children and families. Make out all funding if not open." So I'm going to have some numbers there. But JR, I'm very glad that you're on because you have a child. And so this conversation about whether schools should be opened, what teachers think about it, what parents think about it, I don't really have a dog in that fight, but you do have a dog or a son in that fight. So what do you think about all this?
Yeah, it's every school district obviously is different. It's different sizing. Is kids are different ages, all that stuff. What type of interactions they're gonna have to have. There's some kids that have special needs. There's some kids that need to be in closer proximity. Kids are gonna touch each other. They're going to be somewhat near each other. So I was on my kids' school board meeting a couple weeks ago, and they went through this for so very long about how they can potentially find a way to set up a situation where kids can come in and parents can be comfortable enough sending their kids there. Because as we know, that's why schools get on everyone for your kids' attendance like crazy, even when they're really young. When you're in high school, it's one of those things where like you got to watch your kid because in case they want to skip a class or whatever like that. But when you're in elementary school and your kid misses a day, you know it because they're at home sick or something and you don't report it, they are on your ass.
Yeah.
Like you're getting calls, you're getting automated calls, you're getting calls from the office. And the next day they go, you still have this absence that you never accounted for. And they send you letters home. Yeah, on November 20th, this happened. And then on January 7th, you missed this. So they're on it because there's money behind it. So it's extremely important for your kid to be there. This is very basic stuff for every parent. And everyone knows this, obviously. But I just want to explain it out fully because this is what our president doesn't get and Ron DeSantis doesn't get is now you're sending kids back to school because you want to make sure that the money's flowing back through again and getting paid and everything is just normal. That's the idea. But what's the point of that if the parents don't want to do it? They have to convince enough parents to feel safe sending their children, these people that they like, Trump doesn't understand that either, to a place that's safe so when they come back home, it doesn't become a huge problem. Mm-hmm. It's all about money. And the number one thing is Trump revealed it himself. He goes, these Democrats just want to keep kids from going to school because they want to stop this perception that everything is great before the November elections. Because, of course, it all comes back to getting elected. He needs kids back in school so things can look as normal as possible so he can get reelected because he thinks that's the key. Because everything else he's tried has not worked.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about, and that's, by the way, why, and we're going to have more on this, their whole thing is schools have to be open. Damn those Democrats for thinking about this purely politically when it is the clearest projection ever. But before we go on more about that, I did a little bit of research. And, Trump in his tweet said, hey, if they can do it in Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, schools are open with no problems, why not us? And so I decided to look into it and see if maybe there were anything, even a small thing, different between the U.S. and some of these countries. So I looked at how coronavirus is going on in Germany, and it looks like that. No huge second part of the first wave. There are still cases, but they seem to be doing a pretty good job in Germany of controlling it. We move on now to Denmark. Again, there was one rough day where it looks like 3 or 4 days of reporting was compiled into one, but overall very low numbers. And by the way, in Germany, they still had like 1,000 cases a day. That's like 20 cases a day in Denmark. Okay, so that's less than one classroom of cases in Denmark. In Norway, I mean, what is that? 3 cases a day? Something like that? And by the way, did you know in Norway, there are 10 people in Norway? That is the entire population. So maybe these are reasons, that would matter in terms of what can be normalized. Now, Sweden, to be fair, does have more coronavirus. Interestingly, Sweden is the country that in the beginning of this pandemic the right was holding up as, let's just do what Sweden is doing. Sweden is doing so good, and they're not locking down and all doing all these things that everyone else is doing. But in comparison to the other countries in the region, they're doing way worse. Okay? Now, he lumps them in there to make it sound better, I guess. But no, Sweden is doing way better than us, by the way. Way better than us. But they're doing worse than the other countries in the region. All of this is necessary to think about and understand before deciding if schools could be opened up here, because this is what our coronavirus caseload looks like.
Jesus.
It is way higher than it was before. Now, yes, if we had been doing universal testing at the beginning, the numbers would have been even scarier at the beginning, likely. But we are going in the exact wrong direction, and you have to think about that before deciding, no, we can send creatures into a small room with each other. These creatures, by the way, love only a couple of things. Pokemon and spreading disease. That's pretty much it. Because the thing is, the kids could have it, and maybe they're asymptomatic. And then they can spread it to other kids, and maybe those kids will be asymptomatic. Maybe the kids will be okay, although kids have died from coronavirus. Maybe the kids will be okay. But what about the teachers? What about the parents when they come home? I mean, what are the kids going to come home and then not touch an adult for the next 2 weeks? That's not how it works.
Yeah, no, it's not thinking about the way it spreads and how it can connect with parents, teachers, staff, adult staff at the school, all that stuff. It's just irresponsible. And it's not even not realizing it. It's literally overlooking it. It's actively ignoring that potential part of this. And by the way, if these other countries that Trump is tweeting about have gone back to school and everything is just grand, tell us how and why then. Tell us what they did to get to that point. There's no backing to any statement that's ever made. Like, if you, as a president of the United States, if you make a statement, you should say, can we put that tweet up again? So if you make a statement where it says, look, Germany, Sweden, Germany, Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, and many other countries, which ones? Be specific. You're an adult. Mm-hmm. Schools are open with no problems because of the edited version due to their actions due to this implementation, due to this. What are the reasons that they got things schools open again? What is the reason? Why would someone ask him that? Yeah. Because if we're looking to emulate them, let's go ahead and get the full picture. What are they doing then? We're not asking that question because I thought we wanted to get kids back into school. Yeah. And if people are against you, the way you win an argument is you give some facts, but you don't have any of those.
Yeah. It's like if you had a bunch of athletes all spraining their ankles on the same day, and some of them like healed it. They put ice on it. They kept off of it. And another person was just like painfully hopping around all day. And like at the end of the week, you just say, now all of you go play sports again. How do you think that's going to go? You didn't have time to heal. You didn't take it seriously. Your ankle's still effed up.
And then the ankle that's all messed up, then you start telling yourself, well, look, the rest of the players, they're back to playing. Why can't I? Yeah. Because you didn't do the same thing
they did to prepare. Ow, please, put me back in. Like, no, you idiot. You have to lay down for a little while. I've sprained my ankle many times. You got to take it seriously. God, it's so stupid. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.